Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of Department of ISC, I Jagruti H. Welcome Dr. M. Dakshayani from Department of Information Science and Engineering, BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. And she's currently a professor and working in the Department of ISC in BMS College of Engineering. And she has more than 2.5 decades of teaching experience, working in BMSCE since 25 years, and 5 PhD degree have been awarded under her guidance in the following areas: constraint networks, cloud computing, Internet of Things, data analytics. She has more than 55 international journal publications, 26 international conferences, and 5 national conference publications to her credits. She has been a resource person for many FDPs and workshops. She is also an NBA evaluator. She has published a patent for the research work. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, ma'am, you can take over the session, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I hope all these days you would have been introduced with introduction to blockchain and the concepts, technology, what is mining process, what is smart contract, everything. So today I will be showing you how actually blockchain can be created with other test network, that is Ring-P network. You must have seen a blockchain with the Ganesh. Today we will be looking at the same blockchain, how it could be created with Ring-P network. That is also a test network like Ganesh. And if I can get some inputs, if anybody wants to have a session, I mean part of this blockchain as cryptography part or hashing or something that I can start with that and then go to the blockchain creation. Otherwise, I'll directly start with how actually the blockchain creation happens with Ring-P. Anybody? Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Dr. Dakshayani, working as professor and head department of ISC in BMS College of Engineering. Today we'll see. I think you have seen this. What is blockchain? It is actually a chain of blocks, and each block represents each page of our physical ledger, how it works, and each page or each block will be holding a set of transactions, and all these blocks will be cryptographically linked to provide certain features, important features like immutability, security, transparency. And immutability has been achieved through timestamp, hashing, and mining. And the security has been achieved with cryptography, and transparency has been achieved with a distributed or shared system or peer-to-peer network. Satoshi Nakamoto intelligently integrated all these things because, as you know, timestamp or hashing or mining, cryptography, distributed ledger technique or peer-to-peer network, nothing is new in this. So Satoshi Nakamoto intelligently integrated all these things and came up with a new concept or technique called blockchain. And using this blockchain technology or the concept, the first application he developed was Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was mainly introduced or developed to allow people to exchange money, that is a digital currency called Bitcoin. Middle party mediator. And it also provides by providing transparency and making tracking very easy. And after the another that people created was Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was mainly created just to exchange digital coin, that Bitcoin. After that, people started thinking, why don't we use this blockchain for other purposes like exchanging of documents, any kind of document or assets? It could be a car document, your vehicle documents, or your property documents. It's very apt because it provides transparency and it is immutable. This is one it is registered, this block, it can never be changed. So this is for such applications. But the thing is, both Bitcoin and Ethereum applications were publicly created blockchain. That is, anybody gets into that blockchain can access the content of the entire blockchain. Suppose few nodes or few people on the blockchain, in case if they don't want another set of people or everybody on the network to access their data, that was not possible with Bitcoin and Ethereum because those two are public blockchain. So with that intention to creating such blockchain privately or providing permission to the people or to have a blockchain with only permitted people, they came up with a new blockchain that is called Hyperledger. So here we have different components like Composer, Fabric, and Sawtooth. Later we'll see, or if time permits, we can see, otherwise it's not possible. We'll try with creating Ethereum blockchain. So here it simply looks like this. Each page of the block, I mean each page of your ledger represents each block. So that is, for example, say once these users get registered into the blockchain, or anybody once gets registered into the blockchain, the first thing they will be provided with two keys. One is public key and private key, because suppose any user, once they become part of or member of this blockchain, they will not be identified with their name in the network. They will be identified or recognized with their public key, not with a name. And you know why we use public key and private key. Using this public key and private key, it provides security and that it achieves confidentiality and authenticity. So now let's see how actually this ledger or each page or each block in the blockchain gets created. It is just similar to our physical ledger, how we maintain or how we used to maintain, or even now we are maintaining this kind of ledger you must have seen in your departments. That is, in each page, generally we write all the transactions, not single transaction. Generally, we don't write single transaction in a page, right? We write set of transactions in each page, and each page will be identified with a page number, as you know. And all these pages in sequence will be hard bounded to use it as a single book or a ledger. So where we maintain all transactions in one ledger. Now, suppose if somebody changes some content or some transaction in some line or some rows or some content in this page, what happens? Nobody will come to know, because it will be held with a single person or single department. Now, if after changing something, if they feel somebody can come to know that that change has been made, they can easily replace the entire ledger with other ledger by writing a new book and replacing it. That is also possible. That's how all fraud cases are happening today, either with any kind of documents. You must have seen recently also somebody purchases some property from some owner, but he may not be a genuine or original owner. Then after some days, they'll come to know they've been cheated with fraud people who have created these documents on their own, and they have cheated. That is not possible in this case, because once this data is written into the ledger, that is the logical or digital ledger, that can never be changed, or even if it is changed immediately, people will come to know, because this ledger will not be possessed by only one person. The copy will be there with every user on the network. Let's see how this resembles to the blockchain actually. See here, each page will be identified with a page number. So here in the blockchain, the digital blockchain, which represents or which resembles this physical ledger, we call it as shared ledger or distributed ledger. That will have block header. This is just like how we have page number here, and here it has a block header. So here we just not have a block, page number, we have a timestamp at what time it is created, and version, and the Merkle root. And you must have known by this time what is Merkle root and difficulty target, nonce, and previous hash. This Merkle root is the root of the entire set of transactions. This is how it gets created. So all transactions will be at the leaf level, and hash value will be created for every transaction, and intermediate nodes will be created by creating the hash of the lower two transactions. So that's how we get a root of that hash table, and that root will be stored, because all transactions will not be stored as part of the block. Only Merkle root will be stored here, and difficulty target and nonce will be there as part of the block header. That is for mining purpose. Just to make the mining process complex, they use this difficulty target. That is, if somebody tries or wants to change the content in this block, some block, it should be very difficult for them, or that process of hacking, to make that process of hacking very difficult, they have introduced this difficult target and nonce. You must have seen that in detail in the mining process session. And this whole thing represents as a block header. That is, in the physical ledger, the normal ledger, what we use, only the page number represents that page, and each block in the blockchain represents a single page in the ledger. So how we write a set of transactions in each page? In the block, in one block we write set of transactions, and all transactions will be written in the form of hash tree. And as I told, we create, we generate a root hash that is also called as Merkle root, that will also be stored as block header. So this entire block header actually represents each block, and this complete content of the block header will be given as input to some hash algorithm. Like here, SHA-256 will be used, and output will be some hash value. This hash value will also be part of that block. As you know, a hash value is unique. That is, once you create a hash value for any content, for hash, hashing algorithm, say here it is example. In this example, SHA-256 is a hashing algorithm. The size of this input data may be anything. It may be 256 or 512 or 1000 or any number of bits it could be, but the output will be 256 bits. That is the speciality of this any hashing algorithm. So irrespective of the size of the input, it produces 256 bits hash value that will be stored as a key in each block. Okay. And like this, see this hash value, once you give the complete set of complete block header as input to this SHA-256, that produces hash value. That hash value will be stored as present hash value as a block. In the first, as you have already seen, the first block is called as Genesis block, which will not have any hash value because that is the first block. The previous hash it will not have, and then it creates after giving the entire thing as input to this hash 256, that SHA-256, it generates a hash value that will be stored as present hash of any block. And after that, subsequent blocks will be created, and see here H1 is a present hash value of this B1 block, and that will be stored as a previous hash in the next block, subsequent block in the B2. So after giving the entire block header of B2 as input to some hash algorithm, the H2 will be generated here. The H2 will be present block of this B2 block, and in the subsequent block, this H2 will be stored as previous hash. This is how all the blocks of the blockchain will be linked together cryptographically. That is why we say cryptographically. Even though hashing algorithm or hashing is not a cryptographic algorithm, we use hashing since it can be used as a fingerprint for any block. It will be used with every block to provide a fingerprint, to provide the hash value as fingerprint for any block. Later I'll show you how if somebody changes some minimum content or even a single bit or single digit in a block, how the hash value of that block is going to be changed entirely. So that's how it secures the contents of the entire block. So here, as I've told you, each block represents one page of our physical ledger. So suppose if we are calling this entire thing as one ledger, say L1, say suppose we have another network where all of them are using, because everyone, once we create the blockchain, the copy of the blockchain will be shared with all the users of that blockchain. See here we have P1 to P6, P7 nodes, and all the nodes will be having this L1 as a copy of L1. That's L1 represents the entire blockchain. Now suppose the another node, this L1 is the entire blockchain that will be shared with every user. Why it is not possible to change the content of that block is, suppose say P2 or somebody else wants to change this, change some content. And as I told, minimum, even if you change the minimum data in that blockchain, the hash value changes. Once the hash value of one block changes, the subsequent blocks changes their content. So subsequent hash value changes. And also this block will be shared with all the users. Somebody can come to know. And one more thing, in this public blockchain, all the users may not know who are all there in the network. You can ask me that, say suppose as in the real life happens, that all the nodes can group together and they can bribe somebody and they can make some changes in the network. That is not possible because the nodes in the public blockchain may not know each other, and who are all there in the network also, it's not known to everybody. As I told, any node in the network will be known or will be identified in the blockchain with their public key, not with their name. Okay, so any software identifies any node with their public key. Say suppose we have the blockchain with where all the nodes are sharing L1, that is the blockchain L1. And suppose P2 and P1 and P2, where software company and software developer wants to have a separate network, blockchain network. In that case, if that is the case, they want to create one more blockchain and they need to create a separate blockchain, that is L2, and only those two should be sharing that a network, and others will not know that. That is also possible. Even in Ethereum, they are creating that private blockchain now. And also you must have seen what is a smart contract, how it will be written, and how it actually executes the transactions, everything. Now let us see one example. See here the same blockchain network I have here, and this is the P6 node. Represents insurance company, wants to perform some kind of transaction, the bank transaction, and the P6 wants to perform some transaction. It cannot directly perform the transaction. Once it decides to do something, the transaction should be given to some set of nodes, which are the nodes which are identified as miners. And see here, the node P1, P2 and P5 are identified as mining nodes. You may ask me a question, why all other nodes are identified as mining nodes? As I said, mining is a process which validates a transaction of every node. Once they identify or they feel that it is validated, after checking, after executing a complex puzzle, they come to know whether the transaction is valid or not. So after that, once they see that it is valid, then they only then the transaction will be added to the network. But to decide that it is valid, they have to execute some solve some complex puzzle. So to solve, in order to solve that puzzle, they should have or they need to possess a huge amount of power. So the nodes which are capable of having such huge power only become mining nodes, and other nodes cannot become mining nodes. So set of such nodes which are capable of solving such complex puzzle will be identified as set of mining nodes. So once this insurance company decides to give that transaction for validation, it has to pay some kind of currency. So since it is Ethereum, it uses a digital currency called ethers, as you know. That ether should be given to this mining nodes for their work. So insurance company should possess that ethers. So for that, it should have a wallet. In practical implementation, we use a tool called MetaMask to create that wallet, and you can also purchase some ethers to that wallet, from where the wallet ethers can be given to the network and also to the smart contract, that is to the mining nodes for their work, because they should not do their job simply, right? They should also need some incentive. That incentive is given by the node which is performing some transaction from their wallet in the form of digital currency like ethers. And as you know, we write smart contract to execute all this, the entire process. And here we use Remix to do that, write that smart contract. And then once this insurance company to give that its transaction to mining nodes and to pay ethers, that wallet should be connected to smart contract and also to the network. So only then it can pass some ethers to those mining nodes. After that, this insurance company passes its transaction to be validated to that set of mining nodes. Once it is given, all mining nodes does their job, and after completing their job, all the three nodes will not complete at a time. Only one of those mining nodes will complete its work. Say P1 has completed its work, that is, it has validated the transaction given by insurance company, and then it simply, after once it comes to know that it is valid, it cannot simply directly add the transaction to the block. It broadcasts that information to all other nodes in the network, because all these nodes also has to verify that job done by this mining node. This is P1 has completed that validation of the transaction that is to be added to the block by insurance company. And once it comes to know it is valid, it will be broadcasted to all other nodes, and all other nodes will verify that. Once all other nodes confirm that transaction validated by P1 is valid and valid, all other nodes agrees to that, only then the transaction will be added to the block. This process is called as consensus. That is, everybody has to give their consent to add the transaction to the block. Only then it will be added to the block. The transaction given by the insurance company, validated by the mining nodes, verified by all other nodes, will be added to the block. And now we'll see how actually we can say it is immutable. Immutable is nothing but once some data is entered into the network, once some data is entered into the block, that is irreversible. Once it is entered, you can never modify it. Even though if with the consent of all other nodes, if you want to make some changes to that, it will be a new transaction. Okay. And if somebody wants to change something, how actually it identifies a small change in the network will be identified by everyone in the network. See, once the blockchain is created, suppose somebody makes some changes in B3, some minimum changes, 1 bit or 1 digit is changed in B3. The entire thing, whatever the portion covered with red color, will be given as input to SHA-256 algorithm. So now after making this change, if they gave, the hash value automatically changes. And this hash value changes, the subsequent block content will be changed because the previous hash value is part of the block header in B4. Once this changes, hash value of that node change. The hash value of B4 changes, and hash value of B4 is the previous hash value in B5. That entire thing changes. That changes, H5 changes. So the all complete subsequent blocks will be changed. Changed. So it is not possible for anybody to rebuild all these blocks in the blockchain even if they can do at one node, it is highly impossible for anybody to make all these changes in all the nodes, with all the nodes, because the copy of the entire blockchain will be there with all the nodes in the block, in the network, blockchain network, right? So that is highly impossible to change all the blocks of all the nodes. That is why it is more secure. Now we'll see how actually we can, I have created this Ethereum blockchain and tested with Ring B network. So here I have written a simple a smart contract, as you would have seen by this time how to write this smart contract in a Remix using Solidity language, and this is a name of the smart contract, that is bank. Here I have created a bank smart contract where a very simple program. This is the constructor I have written. Initially I'm having a balance as a parameter with one variable as one value, because balance should not be zero. So in order to ensure that I have stored initialize this balance with 1, and I have three simple functions, that is get balance shows you the balance, and withdraw withdraws the amount that you specify in place of amount, and deposits the amount to your account. So now since I have created this MetaMask wallet, and which is linked to my smart contract, how it can be linked? Once you start executing this smart contract, automatically it will ask you to which account it should be linked. See here, this is the smart contract. In order to compile this, you press auto compile, and here you can select this compiler. Since I have selected this compiler, I have specified here Pragma Solidity. This is the range I have specified so that it should not get any error. Now when I say compile, it gets compiled, and here it creates ABI and bytecode. You can see this bytecode, what it creates.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, it is not shared, whatever you are saying it right now.
Okay, okay. 1 minute, 1 minute. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, this is a simple bank smart contract. I mean, smart contract I have written to perform bank transactions. That is where we have a balance of some value, and when we call this get balance, it shows you the balance of your account, and you can specify some amount that could be withdrawn, and you can also specify some amount that should be deposited. And here you know how to compile it. Go to this compile option, and here you need to specify the compiler, and we have a list of compilers here. And since we have a list of compilers here, I have specified the range of compiler versions. And this smart contract you would have seen by this time. Since I have a small contract with the name bank, you need to specify with the contract the name here. And after that, I just compile this bank.sol. And now if I need to deploy this, because after creating any distributed application, that should be deployed, and it should also be connected to some wallet, because here it is what is MetaMask allows you to connect to your that is a smart contract which is written on your browser. Actually, this Remix is a tool where you have written a smart contract which runs on your browser, not on the public network. And see here. We have three things. One is JavaScript and injected Web3 and Web3 provider. So if I select JavaScript virtual machine, it creates a virtual machine which also runs in your own web browser. That is for testing purpose. You can select this first and then say deploy. Now you will get the compiled or deployed bank smart contract here. Click on this. You will get all the icons here. Whatever the functions you have written, for every function you have icon here. See here you can see the color. These two are in orange color and the get balance is in blue color. Because these two are in orange color, it does some functionality, whereas blue color doesn't perform any function. It simply access the value and it shows. That is why this is in this color. Now I say get balance, it shows you 1. And here in the right side window, you can see which function it is calling. See, call to bank get balance. And if I want to deposit some amount, say 200 currency I need to deposit, click on this deposit. Now it is calling, see, transact to bank deposit. It shows you what function it is calling. And now say get balance, it shows you 201. Now suppose if I want to withdraw some amount, say 50, say withdraw. Right side you can see what function it is calling, and say get balance, it shows you, see here 151 after withdrawing 50. So now it happens so fast because we are using JavaScript virtual machine. So since it is working on your own web browser, it is not connected to any wallet or currency. It happens very fast. Now if I select some injected Web3, right? So here inject Web3 is a interface which connects your smart contract to some wallet through which your currency will be used for every execution of the smart contract. Now if I say compile, now if I run, when I run and after selecting this injected Web3, and you know all this gas limit and all these things by this time, you know, and say deploy. Now it will ask you, see, since I'm using MetaMask, I showed you in the picture, I need to have a wallet. Every user on the network must have a wallet to possess some currency. Here in this case, it is Ethereum blockchain network. So they need to have ethers. So they have some ethers in the account. So it will ask you, once I execute, once I deployed in, I'm deploying this distributed application, it will ask you, this many ethers will be deducted. Can you confirm? Only when I say confirm, it will allow me to do further transaction. See here, it is showing creation of bank transaction, and it shows here right side confirm transaction. Transaction 3 confirmed, view on Etherscan. So Etherscan is a tool which shows you the contents of your transaction. See here, you can see all the transaction, what's happening. See transaction hash, it is generated, and what is the status and from which account to which account. See here, it is a bank withdraw and how many gas has been deducted, what is the transaction cost, and what is the hash value that it has generated. Everything you can see here. And when I say deploy, okay, I had deployed, sorry, already have deployed. So here it shows you deposit, withdraw, get balance. These are the three functionalities I have here. Here if I say 200 and say deposit, it takes some time here. And when I say deposit, to perform the deposit function, again it will ask you, I'm going to deduct these many currency. So only when I say yes, I'm ready, confirm, then it shows you. See here, creation of bank pending, creation of bank, confirm transaction, Now when I click on this, it shows you this transaction has been included into the block number and it will be reflected in a short while. It is taking some time because mining process is going on. So it is taking some time. Now if I say get balance, it is showing 201. Now if you click on this, it shows you what is the transaction hash it has generated, where status, whether it is success or pending. Till now it was showing pending because it was under mining process. What is mining process? The transaction that I had proposed was being validated by a set of miners. That is why it was showing pending. Now the block it has created, it is showing the block number and timestamp at which time it has created and from which account it is being, the transaction is being done and to which account. This is for the contract. That wallet is connected to a contract and the miner, so it is showing contract, and the ethers that it has directed, transaction fees and the gas price, everything is it is showing. Now here you can ask me why in this case the Etherscan shows one transaction in each block. Because it is a simulator, it is very generous. It is storing one transaction in each block, one transaction. So in actual block, there will be a set of transactions. Why for each block, for each transaction, block will not be generated. So suppose now if I want to deduct some amount, say 50. When I say withdraw, again it takes some time and it will ask me for money, where whatever the job it has to do, it will ask for incentive. Only when I say confirm, see bank.withdraw is pending here because mining process is going on. Now if I say get balance, it shows 201 because still it is pending. Yeah, now it is confirmed and the process is over, validation process is over. Now if I click on this, deposit withdrawn, right? Still it is going on. The mining validation is going on. It takes some time. See, now it is over. Still now it was showing pending. Now the transaction hash that was generated for withdrawing 50 ethers, the status is successfully withdrawn, and now it is showing a different block number. The second transaction is in second block, timestamp, at what time it got deducted and from which account to which account, and the value, the transaction fees, everything it shows. And here you can see the hash value. Hash value gets generated for every transaction. Right, so for every transaction, hash value will be generated, and altogether when I create that Merkle tree, altogether it gives me a hash root, and that will be another hash value generated by combining the hashes of the intermediate nodes. So it is not so easy to change. For every transaction, hash value will be generated, and for the whole block, another hash will be generated. So now if I say get balance, it shows me 151. Yeah. Okay, so this is how now you can make some changes here. Now suppose if you want to put some conditions, because get balance, or if I want to withdraw some amount, the balance should be greater than some initial amount. All the changes you can make and test your smart contract. That is possible. And this is one more option is here, that is Web3 provider. Web3 provider is another option, because see here everything, can you expect some user to open this remix and execute this smart contract and go to these icons and click on this and click on this and see? So that is also, so that is why you can also provide, you can also connect your smart contract to a web page, the normal web page or HTTP web page or some Android web page. You can connect using Web3. Web3 is an interface which connects your smart contract to any web page. And you know to write code in Visual Studio, and you can connect your smart contract to the web page, and through web page, through icons, you can also execute the smart contract. That will be a easier way for any user to know that. And I can also show you how actually this Merkle root gets created. First, we'll see hash, how actually the hash value gets generated. Can you see this PPT? Is it visible?
Ma'am?
Yes.
PPT is not visible, ma'am.
Okay.
It is still in that
Yeah.
remixer.
Can you see now? Is it visible?
No,
No.
ma'am. You have shared the Teams.
Now?
Yes, ma'am. You just start a slideshow.
Okay. See how actually this hashing or hash function has made the entire blockchain immutable. We'll see that functionality of this hashing. Say suppose we have this hash function. It could be any hash function. Once the input is given, the input could be of any size. Hash function gives you output of fixed size. Okay, so say for example, hash value takes an input of arbitrary length and gives an output of fixed length. And we can use any hash function like message digest or SHA. We have two variations in SHA also. SHA 256 we have, and SHA 512 algorithms we have. The only difference is the number of bits that gives as output matters. Say suppose I have given example as my name is Dakshayani as input to hash function, say SHA-256, it produces this hash value. Okay, now suppose if I change this one letter in my name, small d to capital D, you just see the output. A very small change in input to hash function results in a huge change in output. This is called as avalanche effect. See, the hash value entirely changes. Previously, this was the hash value. When I just change the one letter, small d to capital D in the hash value, the entire hash value changes. Now you just imagine in blockchain, for every transaction, hash value will be generated. And when we store all these transactions as a hash tree, all these transactions will be combined together and provides a root hash. That is a different hash. Now you just think one small change makes the entire hash value changes. When we have so many hash values for every transaction and all together for the entire data of the block header, is it possible for anybody to change this? Because recently in news you must have seen his name hacker was Shriki. Shriki had hacked some Bitcoin account to purchase some drugs. Right. So he could only hack the account, Bitcoin account, not the blockchain, because blockchain is it's not easily possible for anybody to change the data or hack the data. Even if somebody can change, it is not possible to change in everybody's blockchain. That is the strong part of this hashing. Can we give the original input string back from the hash value is the next question. Is it possible? Now I have generated the hash value, right? Now suppose if I give this hash value as input, can I get the output as my original string, my name is Dakshayani? No, it is not possible. The original string can never be taken back from the hash value generated. And the next question is the reverse operation is not possible. And next we'll see the Merkle root. So in Merkle root, say suppose in this hash, after storing all the hash values as a hash tree, we have generated a root. Now see here, this was in green color. This is in the original blockchain. Suppose some small change happens in this block, the entire block changes here. So consequently, subsequently, the next round block changes, and the next round the root itself will be entirely changed. That is the beauty of hashing. That is why they have used, Satoshi Nakamoto has used this hashing function to make it immutable, to make the entire blockchain immutable. That's it. And if you want me to show the cryptographic part that we use in blockchain, I can show, but it's already 4 o'clock. I hope you have recollected the things that you have already seen in these days. And using Ring-P, how it could be tested. The smart contract that you have written could be tested easily. Ring-P is another test network, because in the Ether, after creating the MetaMask, you can connect your MetaMask to any of these networks. This is Ethereum mainnet to which we cannot connect because it is the original real network. Since we don't have real Ethers, it is not possible to connect to this main network. This Ropster test network, Kovan, Ring-B, and Ganache, and all these are test networks where you can connect your MetaMask wallet to any of these test network and test your a smart contract that you write using Remix tool. I hope okay. And once you create this MetaMask, you have here all the accounts that you have created. And if you want to buy Ethers, you can go to this buy, say buy, and here you have view account and get Ether. Go to get Ether, and here you have this option, connect yourself. We don't want all that. Crypto facet, you go, and here it shows you it gives you the option. So either through some okay, this Google, this is not there now. Using some social network, you can purchase some Ethers. Again, this is virtual Ethers, not the real Ethers. That is why we cannot test our smart contract with the original network. So to purchase some Ethers, you go to this post URL. I'm using this Facebook. Since I have a Facebook account, I go to this Facebook and go to your Facebook account. And here you need to give your address of this account. Let me take another account where I have 0. So if you click here, you can copy the account and go here, and you could just create the post. So here, this is the I need some Ether. You can write I need Ethers, and you can type the address, whatever the address I had copied here, and post it. And after posting, you go to the public public URL you copy. After copying this public URL, come here and you paste the URL here, and here give me some ethers. You can select 3 ethers, 7.5 ethers, and 18.7. Yes, I need say I collect 3 ethers. It shows me 7 hours is left until next allowance. It is not allowing me to get ethers because some 3 hours back I have taken ethers. That is why it is not allowing me. Otherwise, it will fund you the ethers. Whatever the ethers you specify here, those many ethers will be given to your account. Whatever the account you have specified in the social network you have posted, to that account these many ethers will come. And then when you go to Remix, you just execute the whenever you compile and run this smart contract, this MetaMask will come and ask you whether it should be connected. Then once you confirm, it gets connected to the smart contract, from where you can pass ethers to the mining nodes because for their work. Yeah.
Ma'am, the screen is not visible. Only the PPT is visible, ma'am. I think.
Okay. Oh, you didn't see then the MetaMask this thing?
No, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. Now can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just show you. See, to install this tool, you simply go to the Google this thing. You type MetaMask extension. It shows you. Now you just download. Install MetaMask for Chrome. See, since I have already installed, it is showing me remove from Chrome. Okay, like this simply you can add the MetaMask. Then you go to the MetaMask, this thing, it will give you this kind of account. See, I have 2 accounts here, and I can simply test this MetaMask by transferring account from here to see send. I'm sorry. See, I need to copy the address. This is simply if you click here, it copies the account number, and go to first account where I have some ethers, send, and here address you need to give. There I had copied, and it shows how many ethers you need to transfer. It is asking, say 3 ethers. Let me transfer to my second account from first account. Now say next. Now it is showing to transfer that. It is asking me to pay some fees, gas fees. Then once I confirm, yes, you can deduct that fees. Now it takes some time to transfer. Yeah. See, now in account 2, I have 3 ethers. I had 19 ethers in first account. It is showing only 16 ethers. Now, once you create this MetaMask, originally how to get ethers? To buy some ethers. Once originally when you create MetaMask, will not have any ethers in this. 0 ethers will be there. Now to purchase, you say buy. When you say buy, it shows you deposit ethers, either view account. I don't want to view account. I know how many ethers I have. Go to get ether. And here it shows you this data. This I'm not interested in this. Go to Crypt Faucet. And here it shows you. See here it shows you the options, how you can purchase ethers using your one of your social account, social network. Through social account. See, I use this thing because I have Facebook account. Now, okay, here Let me delete this. See, recently I had purchased ethers. That is why it doesn't allow me now to purchase ethers before few hours. Now, say if I post the address, the message, I need some ethers. And here you have to give the address of your account to which it has to give ethers. See, the MetaMask address is say account 2. I have 3 ethers. Simply you click on this, it copies the address and you go here and you paste the account address to which you need ethers. Now you say post and you take the URL address of the post that you have done, and here you have to give that URL address of the post where you have posted the request. Oh, this address one. I didn't copy this. This URL should be copied and go here and you paste the URL and ask for ethers. See, it shows whether you need 3 ethers, 7.5 ethers or 18.75 ethers. Now say I'll ask for 7.5 ethers. It is giving me a message. Is left until next allowance. So it is not allowing me to purchase ethers because of some 2 hours back I have purchased ethers. That is why it is not allowing me. Otherwise, it will fund the specified amount of ethers with your account. Whatever the account you have specified, to that account it shows you it will fund. So here I haven't got because recently I had got 18 ethers to my first account. This is how you can create the MetaMask wallet and purchase ethers through your social network account. And after that, you have written the smart contract here and you have executed. Once you start deploying the smart contract, that is a distributed application, the smart contract that you have developed, it will ask you to connect some wallet to the smart contract. Since I've created MetaMask, it will show you the MetaMask account, and it shows also it will ask some ethers as fees. Then once you confirm that fees, then it will deduct that and it allows you to execute the smart contract and perform some transaction. Okay. I hope you can try with Ringby network now, Ringby test network. Okay, any questions?
Dear participants, do you have any queries? Do you want to ask any questions to Ma? Ma'am, I hope there are no questions from participants side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for patient listening, and you try on your own, only then you'll get to know all these things.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We have to explore all these things from morning session.
Okay.
And from yesterday's also, Lohit sir was telling about this.
Yeah.
So we have to explore this and we have to make use of it. Once we have started this, then only we'll
Yeah,
be
once you
getting
start
more
using
about-
it,
yeah, more clarification. And definitely we will contact you, ma'am, in that
Okay,
regard.
thank you.
Thank you
ma'am.
for engaging this session, and thank you for the valuable delivery of this session, ma'am,
Thank you, madam.
about this.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, dear participants, we have come to the end of the session today. So we'll be sending the link for tomorrow's session. So thank you all. Thank you for your cooperation with this. We'll meet you all in the tomorrow's morning.